Hi, I'm kchoi. Welcome back to my channel. I think it's been a couple of months since I've done a Q&A, so as usual, I posted on my Instagram story and asked for you to submit questions. Most of the questions are consulting or career related, but I do have a few about New York, about running, so there's always a little bit of a mix with my Q&As. Before we get into the questions, let me tell you about this video sponsor, which is Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform to build your brand and grow your presence online. With Squarespace, you can stand out with a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and also sell anything from products to content that you create and even your time. So whether you're creating a blog, portfolio, online store, or anything else that you need a website for, you can create a really functional and beautiful website through Squarespace. As I said, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform, so you can host your domain through Squarespace, connect your social media accounts to your site, allow clients to schedule appointments or classes, track your engagement and reach, and so much more. They also have a new feature called member areas where you can share exclusive content like courses or newsletters or videos and create a new revenue stream through it. I truly think Squarespace is the easiest and best way to build a website that also looks amazing. So if you're interested in trying it out, then go to squarespace.com/kchoi to get a free trial. And then when you're ready, use my code kchoi to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. All that info will be at the top of the description box, so go check it out. And thank you so much, Squarespace, for sponsoring this video. Time to get into the questions now. So the first one, how do you manage work and YouTube? I'm trying to be a YouTube person, but work takes up a toll. To be 100% honest, I never have a good answer for this. This is a very frequently asked question, but you honestly just have to do it. You have to find time. You either have to sacrifice some sleep or sacrifice a bit of your social life or even some of that downtime that you need to recover after work. There are times when right after I finish work, I need to jump into doing something for YouTube. This video is actually a good example of that because I finished my work calls at around 5 and then I immediately set up my camera so that I could film this video. And it's because I couldn't find any other time to do it in my week. For me, it helps that a lot of my content is filming my actual work because I do day in my life as a consultant videos or week in my life as a consultant videos. So that helps to kill two birds with one stone, I guess. One thing that could help is to chunk out the different tasks that you have. So thinking of a video idea, actually filming the video, editing the video, working on the thumbnail. There are lots of different steps to getting a video live on YouTube. So if you chunk that out and find the right pockets of time within your week to complete them, then I think it can be very manageable. I am like sitting on the floor and my feet are falling asleep already. So I am probably gonna reposition myself several times throughout this video. Remote working tips for junior staff. Communicate a lot. I think a lot of companies use Slack. My company uses Teams. So checking in with other people. If you have questions, making sure you reach out. Obviously, it can be difficult when you're remote to build some rapport with others because you're just not face to face. I think also being active on other discussions. So for example, we have like a consultant group chat where it's a bit more casual. We share like funny things and news, but also ask each other questions. So things like that. If you stay active on those channels, then you're just kind of making people aware that you're there. And that's all kind of part of networking, right? And then it'll bring more opportunities to you in the organization. I don't have good communication skills, so should I try for getting into consulting? So first of all, I would ask why you think you don't have good communication skills. Is it because English isn't your first language? And that's the reason you think that? Is it because you've gotten feedback like that before? I think if it's because English isn't your first language, then that's not necessarily a sign that you're bad at communicating. But communication skills is definitely a very important part of being a consultant because you have to communicate with the client, you have to communicate with your internal teams, you have to be able to distill very complex information into something that's more simple and digestible, whether it's through words or through charts. But you can definitely improve your communication skills. I think it goes hand in hand with writing skills and learning how to write really clearly and concisely. So whether that's starting to read more books or maybe taking some classes on writing, there are definitely ways that you can improve that. When and how did you know that consulting is what you really wanted to do? If you're unfamiliar with my own career journey, then I will link a video about how I changed careers and I explain a bit more in that video. But at a high level, I used to work in public relations, and a couple of years into working in that field, I knew that I didn't want to stay in it long term. Just as I looked at who the senior leadership was, I just didn't see that life for me. And when you work in public relations, and particularly at PR agencies, you often have to jump around to different agencies in order to get the pay that you deserve. So I wasn't interested in staying in public relations, and I had a lot of friends who went into consulting after college, so it was something that I always sort of knew about but didn't have too much information about. I started to talk to people who were in consulting to get more info, and it seemed like something that checked my boxes, where I could be a little bit more involved in a company's strategy versus just their public perception in the media. The base pay is much better, and there are a lot more opportunities after consulting as well. So that's how I made the decision to pursue consulting. And then of course, as I've been working in consulting, I've learned many more reasons that I love the job. What is your biggest takeaway that you've learned after your first year in consulting? I think the biggest thing I learned is that you are always learning, whether you are a year into consulting or 25 years into consulting. Obviously, after a year, I got the hang of a lot of things, but because every client is a little bit different, every project team is a little bit different, there's always different circumstances and situations that you have to be able to think on your feet and find solutions for problems that you might not have encountered before. But because of your previous experiences, you know how to go about solving that problem, even if it might not be the same solution every time. So for me, it's important to always keep the mindset that there is something for me to learn and that I should always be curious. And even if something has always worked in the past, it might not be the best way to do something in the present or the future. So it's good to keep an open mind about what can be changed as well. How do you handle Zoom fatigue when you have a lot of meetings lined up? It's difficult. Sometimes I will just turn off my camera and I will just say that I've been on camera a lot and I'm going to be taking a break. Sometimes I will say that I'm eating, which I usually am if I am turning off the camera. I've also seen some people put blocks on their calendars. So on Fridays, like they might have a block that says minimal video meetings. So anything to cue at least your internal partners that you don't want to be on camera for a certain hour or day. I also recently got a standing desk, so that helps just to like change up from just sitting down for a bunch of hours in a row. So if you're able to do that, or at least take stretching breaks, I think that always helps. How many days a week are you traveling now? So I used to travel pretty often, 2 years ago or before the pandemic. Now I think it's like maybe once a month, if that. I am going on a trip next week, which will be for one night. It all depends on the client and if they are comfortable with us traveling or they want us to come travel and if they have the budget for it. I do actually have a project that I just started that will require a bit more travel, so maybe once a week for a couple of months at a time, but all of those trips are always just like overnighters. How did you prepare for your marathon? Any tips? I love running too. I actually have a really old video with tips for training for a marathon, so I will include that in the description box as well, even though it's kind of embarrassing because it's like 5-6 years old or something. But I am following a marathon training plan by Track Club Babe. Her name's Kimberly and she gives lots of super helpful tips on Instagram, and then she sells these training plans for, I think, like for 5Ks, half marathons, marathons. So I've been following that plan. I've got a little less than 6 weeks now, so it's time to like kick it into high gear. This will be my third marathon, but with each one I am getting older, so they get a little more difficult. Can a tech sales position shift to consulting? If so, which type of consulting? Thanks. Overall, I think any role can shift into consulting because it's just such a broad field. You work with so many different industries and companies that varying backgrounds is actually really helpful in consulting. In terms of the type of consulting, I mean, the obvious choice would probably be tech consulting, which involves like tech implementation and things like that. I'm not in tech consulting and I'm not too familiar with it, but Christine Innovates on YouTube is a former tech consultant and she now works at Google. So I can leave her channel in the description box and you can get more information from her. Tips for English majors and other degrees who wants to pursue a career in business. Try to get some internships during college because your degree doesn't really matter that much. It's more the experience that you've had. So even me going into public relations, English is not directly related. I mean, it's a little bit more related because in PR you do a lot of writing, which of course you do in English, but I didn't really have much specific PR experience, but I just went for an internship. So if you can in college, get some internships during the summer at the types of companies or the types of roles you're interested in, and also network and talk to people at companies that you want to work at. Another thought is working in a role that maybe is more related related to your degree and then transferring into a different function or department at that same company a little bit later. So that could be also something that you inquire about when you have your informational interviews, just in terms of how easy it is or what the process is like to transfer to a different function or department. I didn't see this question earlier, but it says starting a new job as a tech consultant in July. Any tips or YouTube recs? So again, I would refer you to Christine's channel, which I will link in the description box so you can learn more about tech consulting. And congrats on your new job. Any regrets from working in consulting? I don't think I have any regrets at the moment. I am really proud and happy that I was able to make this move into consulting from public relations and just, achieve that goal that I had set for myself. I'm just so interested in different people's careers that I always wonder, what would it have been like if I went to law school or if I studied programming or something like that? But it's not like I regret not pursuing those things and pursuing consulting instead. It's just more my curiosity about what those different fields are like. Do you feel anxious about work sometimes? Yes, I definitely get anxiety about work, especially if I have a big meeting or if I just have a lot of stuff to get done. I especially feel anxious when I have a lot of calls and I don't have time to do my actual work. But to me, what helps is talking through things with my coworkers. So if I am feeling like I'm spinning my wheels trying to figure something out, then I will just ask someone else and bounce some ideas off of them. And that gives me the energy and some fresh ideas and a fresh perspective for me to keep going. I also just try to prepare. So if I'm feeling a little bit nervous for a meeting, I will write down pretty much everything that I want to say. If I'm giving an intro about myself or I'm setting some context for the meeting, I'll literally write myself a script. And that way I just need to look at that. That's a big plus of being in a virtual environment, is because you can write a script like that and look at your screen and no one will know the difference. So those are a couple things I do when I'm feeling a little bit anxious or stressed about my work. Last question I'm going to answer for this video is, where are you planning to travel soon? So I'm actually really excited because I'm going to be visiting London and Greece in May. I of course did my master's in London, so I spent a year there and it's a very dear place in my heart. So I can't wait to spend some more time there. And it'll be my first time in Greece, so I'm always excited to visit new places. I will definitely be vlogging that trip because I really miss traveling and I miss vlogging my travels. So hopefully you are looking forward to that as well. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and that I answered your questions. And if I didn't get to your questions, then please do participate again when I ask for questions for a future Q&A. In my last video, I got some really good suggestions of future video topics that I am working on. So let me know in the comments if you have any other ideas for things you'd like to see on this channel, because it really helps me out. With that, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye.